Humans have always looked up, whether it was to pray, to dream, or just to wonder what was out there. The night sky was one thing we all shared, no matter where or when we lived. Every evening, our ancestors would look up and think, wow, that's gorgeous. Let's make up a story about a hunter and a scorpion stabbing each other to death for eternity. And for thousands of years, that worked. But lately, it seems like we've decided that sharing is overrated. The stars have been evicted from our skies, not by clouds, not by nature, but by us. So let's talk about how we got here. How did we trade infinity for neon signs and parking lot floodlights? "50,000 years ago, a group of humans gathered around a flickering fire. Above them stretched a sky so clear, so dense with stars that it looked almost solid, a glittering map of the universe. For our ancestors, the night sky wasn't just pretty. It was vital. The stars told them when to plant crops, when to migrate, and even in which direction to walk if they didn't want to end up hopelessly lost. The constellations we know today, they were stories firsts, mythologies that tied communities together. The Egyptians built pyramids aligned with Orion's belt. The Polynesians navigated vast oceans using nothing but starlight and guts. And the Greeks, they looked up and saw a bunch of dots and thought, that's clearly a god turning into a swan. Stars were everything until they weren't. Then came fire. Simple, controllable, revolutionary. Suddenly, humans had a way to push back the darkness. But firelight was small, it was flickering, and ultimately humble. It didn't change the stars. For thousands of years, this balance remained, stars above and the fires below. But that balance started to shift with the invention of the oil lamp and later gas lighting in the 18th century. Cities like London and Paris installed gas streetlights, and for the first time, urban nights became less about the shadows of the buildings and more about activity. But even then, the stars were still there. They were faint, but visible. Humanity hadn't yet drowned them out. Everything changed in 1879 when a certain Thomas Edison decided that sleep was overrated. The electric light bulb wasn't just brighter and more efficient than gas lamps, it was unstoppable. By the mid-20th century, something strange happened. People stopped noticing the sky was disappearing. After all, who needs stars when you've got neon signs advertising cola and billboards lighting up highways? Think about it. For a millennia, darkness meant danger. Light brought safety, productivity, and the promise of modernity. No one stopped to think that too much light might have a cost. In our excitement to illuminate the night, people began to forget the stars. Back in the 1950s, the folks at Palomar Observatory in California started losing their battle against the glow of nearby Los Angeles. A sky that should have been bursting with galaxies was now smothered under a dome of orange smog. In a couple years, astronomers had a term for it: light pollution. It wasn't just the astronomers either. Migrating birds, confused by city lights, started crashing into buildings. Sea turtles, which normally use the moon to find the ocean, began waddling towards floodlights and getting very, very lost. Even humans weren't spared. Our circadian rhythms, which are our natural 24-hour clock, our internal schedule, they were now out of sync. But at the time, the world wasn't ready to listen. Light pollution wasn't seen as a problem, it was seen as proof of progress. As cities grew, so did their light. Highways, shopping centers, and sports stadiums became beacons of artificial brilliance. If you look at Earth from space, it's stunning. A glittering jewel of light against the black void of space. But that glitter, it's also a warning. Today, more than 80% of people on Earth live under skies so polluted with artificial light that the Milky Way is invisible. For many, a truly dark sky is something they've never experienced. But here's the thing about light pollution. Unlike so many other environmental challenges, light pollution is one of the few we can fix without inventing a new gadget. It's about being a bit less, well, ridiculous. Shielding lights, smarter designs, and remembering to turn off the office lights when you're not in the building. All simple things that can make a huge difference. There are places that prove it's possible. In Flagstaff, Arizona, for example, strict lighting laws protect the dark skies, and it's still a functional city where people don't regularly walk into walls. Entire regions like parts of Chile and New Zealand have become sanctuaries for stargazers. They are places where the night sky still looks like it did thousands of years ago. The night sky isn't just a pretty backdrop. It's history, science, art, and perspective rolled into one. But the good news is the stars are patient. They've been waiting billions of years for us to notice them. They can wait a little longer. Light pollution is a problem of our own making, but that means it's also a problem we can solve. So maybe tonight, turn off a light and look up. If you can't see the stars, imagine them, because they will always be there waiting for us to give them a second chance.